Respect is earned, trust is gained, and both can be lost in silence. Some people don't need to stab you in the back. They do it with a smile to your face. My friends, too many of us are walking through life handing out trust like candy and offering respect to those who've done nothing to deserve it. That ends today. This one's going to sting a bit, but it might just save your peace of mind. If you've ever been betrayed, manipulated, drained, or doubted your own worth because of someone else's behavior, then this message is for you. Before we go any further, do yourself a solid, hit that like button, press subscribe, and stay with me till the end. Because what you'll hear today will open your eyes, maybe for good. Hey folks, imagine this. You're a fortress, solid, strong, built to last. But what if the people you let inside, the ones you thought were allies, are the very ones digging holes beneath your walls? Not every enemy shows up with a sword. Some come with compliments, with jokes that cut, with fake concern. They laugh with you in public but plot against you in private. They act like supporters but feel threatened every time you shine. And yet, you still give them the benefit of the doubt. Why? Because no one told you it's okay to be careful with your loyalty. No one told you that being kind doesn't mean being blind. But the Stoics knew. Seneca said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you, not drain you, not deceive you, not disrespect you." Folks, this isn't about hate. It's about clarity. It's about protecting your space, your spirit, your sanity. You are not weak for walking away. You are wise. You are strong. You are allowed to guard your peace. Type it in the comments. My peace is power. Show yourself. Show the world. And stay with me. This is just the beginning. Number 1, the one who betrays in silence. False friends are like our shadow, keeping close to us while we walk in the sunshine, but leaving us when we cross into the shade. There's a certain type of person that doesn't raise alarms. They don't scream betrayal. They don't come swinging with weapons. No, they come with softness, with a listening ear, with smiles that make you drop your guard. And slowly, quietly, they learn you. Not to love you, not to protect you, but to study your weaknesses like a predator watching its prey. This is the one who betrays in silence. Picture this, my friends. You're in a room full of people, and you're laughing with someone you consider close. They've been there, through ups and downs, right? But somewhere else, in another room, they're painting you with words you never gave them permission to use. They're cutting pieces of your character with the very stories you shared in trust. They act like a vault in your presence, but out of sight, they become a leaking faucet of betrayal. No explosions, no drama, just the quiet erosion of your name behind your back. That's what makes them dangerous. They don't stab. They slowly rot the foundation of your trust until one day you realize it wasn't solid at all. And the worst part, when you finally sense it, you'll doubt yourself. You'll think, maybe I'm overthinking, or they wouldn't do that to me. That's the trap. That's the inner storm. Because society tells us to give the benefit of the doubt. It teaches us to hold friendships sacred, even when they've been desecrated. We grow up with this lie. Real friends never betray. But folks, here's the truth. Some do. And the ones who do it in silence are the most skilled at hiding their hands. They won't attack you directly. Oh no, that would make them visible. Instead, they'll align with your enemies. They'll accidentally mention something personal you told them in confidence. They'll question your character in small, subtle ways that others barely notice. And if you confront them, they'll flip the script. They'll say, "You're too sensitive," or "I didn't mean it like that." Classic deflection, gaslighting 101. So why do we let them stay? Why do we continue offering loyalty to the disloyal? Fear. That's why. Fear of being alone. Fear of being wrong. Fear that maybe if we let them go, we'll lose a part of ourselves that depended on their validation. But I'll tell you what's worse than being alone, being surrounded by people who smile while they're slowly subtracting your soul. And here's the kicker: not everyone who betrays you is evil. Some people are just broken, they're insecure, they need to feel powerful, and they get that power by dimming your light when you're not looking. But broken doesn't mean you owe them access. You can forgive someone and still lock the door. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." He wasn't trying to make us bitter. He was preparing us for the truth. So when it comes, we don't shatter. We stay grounded, alert, unmoved. This is not about becoming cold. It's about becoming clear. Not every smiling face is safe. Not every old friend deserves a seat in your future. Some people were only meant for one chapter, and you're trying to write them into the whole book. That's why you keep feeling drained. That's why your peace keeps slipping through your fingers. But here's your power. You can stop. You can draw the line. You can observe how people move when you're not in the room. Do they guard your name like you'd guard theirs? Do they celebrate your wins when they have no benefit to gain? Or do they shrink your light in whispers and disguise it as concern? Pay attention. The silent betrayer fears only one thing: your awareness. Because once you see them, the game ends. So, what do you do now? You rise. You stop explaining your worth to people who trade your secrets for attention. You protect your name like it's your crown, because it is. You understand that trust is not a gift. It's earned, it's tested, and once broken, it's not easily restored. Don't beg people to stay loyal. Watch them, and when they show you who they are, believe it the first time. That's not being harsh. That's honoring your own peace. That's respecting your own boundaries. Because here's the truth, folks. You deserve friends who sharpen you, not ones who silently slice you. You deserve presence, not performance, loyalty, not lip service. And above all, you deserve to be protected in rooms you're not even standing in. If someone you thought was close has shown you their true colors, don't paint over it. Accept it, learn from it, and walk forward with your head high. This isn't about revenge, it's about release. Write it in the comments: I protect my peace. Show yourself, show the world. You're not here to be someone's silent casualty. You're here to walk in clarity, in strength, in truth. And trust me, the next type we'll talk about, they don't just betray you in silence, they climb over you to rise. So stay with me. Number 2, the power-hungry pretender. Beware the man who flatters your ego while quietly sharpening the blade behind his back. There's a type of person who doesn't care about connection, doesn't care about loyalty, doesn't care about building something real. They're not interested in being your friend. They're just playing the part, the power-hungry pretender. This one is tricky because they don't come at you like an enemy. They come wrapped in admiration. They tell you what you want to hear. They make you feel important. But deep down, they're not lifting you up. They're just climbing. Imagine standing on a ladder. You're working hard to get higher, reaching one rung at a time. And then comes this person. You think they're helping you balance. They say, "I've got your back." They even hand you a water bottle. But what you don't see is that they're slowly loosening the bolts beneath your feet, not out of hatred, but out of hunger. They don't want you to fall because they hate you. They want you to fall because they want your spot. It's the colleague who praises your work in meetings but takes credit behind closed doors. It's the friend who supports your goals until they feel threatened by your growth. It's the leader who lifts you just high enough to make use of your talent, then keeps you there so you never outshine them. They don't hate your success. They just want it for themselves. And the wild part? They'll look you in the eye and say things like, "I'm just so proud of you," or "We're in this together." And maybe they were, until they saw you rising too fast, until your name started echoing louder than theirs. Then the shift happens, subtle but real. You might ask yourself, am I imagining this? Why would they do this to me? They've helped me before, haven't they? Yes, that's the trap. A power-hungry pretender always mixes truth with manipulation. They'll help you just enough to earn your trust, but never enough for you to surpass them. Because in their mind, the world is a hierarchy. If you rise, it means they fall, and that's not something they can allow. Their ego won't let them. Seneca once said, "He who is greedy is always in want." These people are always in want, wanting influence, control, validation, and to get that, they'll wear whatever mask gets them closest to the throne, even if it means faking friendship, even if it means pretending to support you while quietly setting up roadblocks behind the scenes. So why do we trust them? Why do we let them in? Because they're charming. They study people. They know how to say the right thing at the right time. They'll compliment your ideas, agree with your values, even mirror your struggles, just enough to build a false sense of intimacy. It's psychological camouflage, and it works until you start winning. That's when the smile fades. That's when the jokes start having edges. That's when your achievements are lucky or just timing. That's when they start pulling others into their narrative, quietly questioning your competence, your character, your worth. And if you confront them, they'll play innocent. Why would I do that? You're overthinking it. You're too sensitive. And just like that, you're doubting yourself again. But here's the truth, my friends. Real allies don't shrink when you grow. Real friends want to see you win, even if it means watching you rise higher than them. The power-hungry pretender can't handle that, because to them, your glow is a threat. Marcus Aurelius said, "The only wealth which you will keep forever is the wealth you have given away." These people don't give, they trade. Everything they offer has an invisible price tag. If they support you, they expect obedience. If they help you, they expect leverage. They don't do anything for free. There's always a string attached. So what do you do when you realize someone in your circle is only there to climb over you? You rise anyway. You keep climbing with integrity, with truth, with the kind of strength they can't imitate. Because their power depends on deception, yours will depend on wisdom. You set boundaries, not walls, but firm lines. You stop sharing your blueprints with people who only want to steal your map. You observe, you test, you protect your energy like it's currency, because it is. You stop apologizing for growing. You stop downplaying your progress to make others comfortable, because you were never made to stay small for someone else's ego. You learn to smile with clarity instead of naivety. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your journey. And just because someone helped you build doesn't mean they belong in the finished structure. Some people were only meant to be scaffolding, temporary, useful, but not permanent. There's strength in that discernment, power in choosing quality over history. It might feel lonely, it might sting, but what's worse? Walking alone for a while or dragging someone beside you who's secretly hoping you fall. Remember, you were not made to be a stepping stone. You were made to build your own path, on your own terms, with your own code. Write this in the comments. I rise with integrity. Let the world see it. Let the climbers know you see them now. Let the real ones find you and the pretenders remove themselves. And stay with me, folks, because next, we're diving into the kind of person who will never take responsibility, never grow, and will drown you with them if you don't learn how to swim away. The chronic victim is next. Don't miss it. Number 3, the chronic victim who refuses growth. Some people create storms and then get mad when it rains. There's a kind of person who always seems to be surrounded by drama. But the strange thing is, the drama is never their fault. Not once. They're always the target, always the misunderstood one, always the one life has wronged. This is the chronic victim, not the person who's been through pain. We all have. Not the person who's hurting and healing. We honor those. No, this is the one who refuses to rise. The one who clings to their suffering like it's a badge of honor. Who wears victimhood not as a phase, but as an identity. Imagine someone chained to a sinking boat, but every time you throw them a rope, they look at it, then throw it back. They don't want to swim to shore. They want you to jump in and drown with them. They don't want a way out. They want an audience. These are the people who, no matter how much help you offer, always have another excuse. Life is always unfair. People are always the problem. Growth is always too hard, and at first you feel for them. You pour your time, your energy, your heart into helping. You become their therapist, their emotional sponge, their rescuer. But days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and you start to notice a pattern. Nothing ever changes, because they don't want solutions. They want attention. They want sympathy. They want someone else to carry the weight of their responsibility. And if you try to challenge them, if you say, "Hey, maybe you could try doing this differently," they'll twist it. You become the villain. You become insensitive, cold, not understanding. Why? Because you broke the cycle. You dared to suggest they take the wheel of their own life. Stoicism teaches us to separate what's in our control from what isn't. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." But to the chronic victim, that's almost offensive. Because if they admit they have control, then they also have to admit they've chosen to stay stuck. And that's a truth they don't want to face. So why do we stay close to people like this? Because we're good-hearted, we care. We want to believe that if we just love them harder, support them more, listen longer, they'll finally break free. But my friends, here's the harsh truth. You can't save someone who's addicted to their own suffering. You can show the path, you can offer the tools, but you cannot force them to build a better life. That has to come from them. And if you're not careful, their mindset will start to infect yours. You'll find yourself drained, anxious, constantly trying to fix something that doesn't want to be fixed. Their storm becomes your storm. Their heaviness becomes your burden. And slowly, your peace begins to shrink. You'll start questioning yourself. Maybe I'm being selfish. Maybe I should be more patient. Maybe this is what loyalty looks like. But listen closely. Loyalty is not letting someone destroy you because they won't heal themselves. Compassion without boundaries is a straight road to burnout. The Stoics believed in sympathy, yes, but not self-destruction. There's a difference between supporting someone and sinking with them. So what can you do? First, accept this truth. Not everyone wants to be free. Some people fear growth more than they fear suffering. Growth means accountability. Growth means letting go of the story where they're always the victim, and that story has kept them safe. Safe from change, safe from responsibility, safe from effort. You have to stop giving your energy to someone who refuses to rise. You can still love them, you can still wish them well, but you are not responsible for dragging them through life. That's not love, that's bondage. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the mindset the chronic victim lacks. And until they choose to see their power, they will continue to live powerlessly, and they'll want you to live there with them. But that's not your story. Your story is one of growth, one of rising through pain, not sinking in it, one of building, of learning, of owning your power. You've come too far to let someone else's refusal to grow clip your wings. And yes, it's hard, especially when that person is someone close, someone you love. But love does not mean enabling. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is step back and say, I believe in your ability to rise, but I can't carry you anymore. That's not cold, that's courageous. Write it in the comments. I choose growth. Say it, claim it, live it. Let the world know you refuse to shrink for anyone who won't rise. Let the chronic victims stay where they are if they must, but let them know you are no longer their emotional crutch. And stay with me, because next we're going to meet someone even more dangerous, the one who can't celebrate your wins, only your wounds. The jealous shadow watcher is up next. Don't miss what's coming. Number 4, the jealous shadow watcher. Some people only love you when you're quiet, broken, or beneath them. The moment you rise, they start to rot. There's a kind of silence that speaks volumes, a quiet tension that creeps in when something good happens in your life. And the people closest to you don't clap. They don't smile. They don't congratulate you. In fact, they go quiet, cold, passive. This is the jealous shadow watcher, the one who hides their envy behind faint praise, behind subtle silence, behind that crooked smile that doesn't quite reach their eyes. You know this person. We all do. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe it's someone you've supported for years. You celebrated their wins. You stood by them when they struggled. But the moment you started shining, their energy shifted. Suddenly, they're distant. Suddenly, they've got something negative to say. Suddenly, you're changing. You're full of yourself. You're just lucky. Let's be honest, jealousy is hard to admit. And it's even harder to recognize when it wears the mask of friendship. The shadow watcher won't openly compete with you. That would require courage. Instead, they operate from the sidelines, watching, comparing, resenting, waiting for a stumble so they can feel tall again. Imagine climbing a mountain step by step through pain and persistence. You finally reach a ledge. You look back, hoping to see your friend smiling, cheering you on. But instead, they're standing there, arms crossed, eyes narrow, not because they can't climb, but because they never expected you to reach that height before them. And here's the dangerous part. They still act like they're on your team. They'll tell you they're happy for you, but their energy feels off. They'll support you in public, but you'll catch them downplaying you in private. They'll offer advice that feels more like sabotage. They'll poke holes in your plans, not out of concern, but out of envy. You'll start to wonder, am I imagining this? Why do they never celebrate me the way I celebrate them? Did I do something wrong? No, you didn't. Their reaction isn't about your success. It's about their insecurity. Your growth reminds them of everything they're not doing. Your wins make their excuses harder to believe. And instead of letting your rise inspire them, they let it infect them. That's not your fault. That's their reflection. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." But the shadow watcher fills their mind with comparison. Instead of seeing your light and finding their own, they try to dim yours. And here's the real trap, my friends. We try to overcompensate. We shrink ourselves. We play small. We water down our joy just to keep them comfortable. We stop talking about our goals. We pretend our wins aren't a big deal, just to avoid their awkward silence, just to keep the peace. But let me ask you this. What kind of peace requires you to betray yourself? You were not born to make others comfortable. You were not born to shrink so someone else doesn't feel insecure. That's not confidence. That's quiet self-abandonment. And Stoicism tells us, Your peace begins with being honest about who deserves access to you. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." The shadow watcher is poor in spirit, not because they lack success, but because they lack self-worth. And until they confront their inner darkness, they'll keep trying to cast shade on yours. So, what do? You stop seeking applause from people who don't want to see you win. You stop explaining your journey to people who are committed to misunderstanding it. You stop trying to fit into the frame of someone who's never seen your full picture. Instead, you rise with grace, with clarity, with boundaries. You allow yourself to shine without apology, because your light is not the problem. Their blindness is. Start watching how people react when you elevate. That's when you'll see the truth. Do they lift you higher, or do they vanish into shadows the moment the spotlight turns your way? If someone in your life only seems happy when you're struggling, but disappears or criticizes when you thrive, believe what you feel. That's not support, that's suppressed envy. And no, you don't need to confront them with fire. You don't need to rage or accuse. Just observe, distance quietly. Redirect your energy to people who clap loudly and love boldly. People who don't see your growth as a threat, but as a mirror of what's possible. Because here's the truth. Real friends won't flinch when you fly. They'll hand you wings. So don't dim your light. Don't make yourself small. Don't clip your own wings to stay grounded with people who are afraid to take off. Write it in the comments. I will not shrink. Say it loud. Say it proud. Let the world know your shine isn't up for negotiation, that your light isn't a crime, and your success doesn't need permission. And stay with me, because the next person we're going to uncover, they don't envy you. They just don't respect your limits. The boundary breaker in disguise is next. And what they take from you isn't obvious until it's already gone. Number 5, the boundary breaker in disguise. When someone disrespects your boundaries, they're not showing love, they're showing control dressed as closeness. There's a kind of person who doesn't scream danger when they walk into your life. In fact, they might look like the most caring, loving, generous soul you've ever met. They text often, they ask questions, they want to know everything. But as time passes, you start to notice a strange pattern. They don't just step into your space, they slowly begin to own it. And before you even realize what's happening, you've given up your time, your energy, your peace, without them ever saying a single harsh word. That's the trick of the boundary breaker in disguise. They'll call it closeness. They'll say, I just care so much. But care without respect is manipulation. Attention without limits is control. Imagine your life like a garden. Your thoughts, your time, your inner peace, it all grows within that space. But the boundary breaker doesn't come with a watering can. They come with heavy boots and excuses. They walk over your flowers and say, I was just trying to help. They pull up your roots and say, you're being too sensitive. They ignore the fence and tell you, you shouldn't have to have one with me. And because they're wrapped in affection, you question yourself. You think maybe you are being too distant. Maybe it's rude to want privacy. Maybe your boundaries make you cold. But hear this, my friend. Loving someone doesn't mean giving them a map to your soul without conditions. Trust is not a blank check. Respect isn't optional. Stoicism teaches us that the first and highest form of discipline is self-governance. Marcus Aurelius said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. And if you allow people to stain your peace with their constant invasions, your soul doesn't shine, it sinks. The boundary breaker thrives in guilt. They'll make you feel wrong for needing rest, for saying no, for wanting space. But growth requires space, peace requires silence, Power requires ownership of your time, and those who truly love you will honor that, not violate it. So what do? You build the fence, you lock the gate, not out of hate, but out of wisdom, and then you watch who respects it. The ones who knock, who wait, who ask, those are your people. The ones who push, guilt, or demand, let them stand outside. You're not cold, you're clear, and clarity is power. My friends, your energy is sacred. Protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. Let this be your reminder. Not everyone deserves access to the most vulnerable parts of you. If this hit home, write it in the comments. My boundaries protect me. Show yourself, show the world. And if this series opened your eyes, don't let it end here. Press the like button, hit subscribe, and keep walking this path with me. At Stoic Journal, we're not just learning to see clearly, we're learning to live wisely. Until next time, guard your peace, lead with strength, and stay unshakably grounded.